Just put more glitter on. You'll be fine. Like, and it was hard.
More glitter. Okay, I can do this. I'm glittered up. Hello, 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 and welcome to Well Shit. It really is that simple. I'm Claire.
And I'm Serena. On this podcast, we help you to understand about your 12 universal needs, why they are currently not being well met,
how to meet them in ways that work for you, and how to consistently do so in quick, easy, and simple ways that fit seamlessly into your life.
We'll also help you to understand how doing so will have a positive ripple effect in literally every area of your life.
If you like what you hear, sign up for more support with meeting your needs with your weekly Universal Needs notes at theuniversalneeds.com.
And enjoy the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
So today we're going to tell a story.
Once upon a time.
In a strange island called Key West. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine what kind of stories that would actually
It's like the man from
to.
Nantucket. Do you
What?
know the man from Nantucket?
What?
There once was a man from Nantucket. It's an American thing. I don't know if it's just a New England thing and maybe like, but there's like this.
It sounds like a limerick.
It is a limerick. I think it's. I'm trying to make sure I'm utilizing the correct kind of poetry is, but I think it is a limerick. And
Yeah.
it's like there once was a man named from Nantucket, and it can go either really straight laced or it can go like completely.
Really?
Oh yeah, it can get keysy. Like before I knew what keysy was, I mean I've heard some Nantucket stories, but yeah. So as I digress about my man from Nantucket, let's get back to our own weird little island.
So should I just tell the story? Let's just dive in. It was an interesting weekend this weekend. So it's currently June as we're recording this, and
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. And so the LGBTQIA plus community holds a very special place in our hearts. We've both got people very close to us who are from the community, and we've both been very active in wanting to support the community for a long time. So when it came to the fact that, and this is actually my first Pride in Key West. I haven't been in Key West for Pride before. And if you don't know, Key West is known for being a destination place for some parts of the LGBTQIA plus community. So we have rainbow crosswalks here, and it's a very fun place anyway, but it's somewhere that I was especially looking forward to experiencing Pride. And so about a month ago, maybe just a little bit longer than that, I happened to, as I do, get chatting to random strangers when I'm out and about.
You don't say.
Yeah, because you don't do that either, do you? No.
I'm a wallflower.
No. So as we both
a flower that grows out of the wall and just grabs people. Hey, you're in my vines now. We're going to be friends. So anyway, about a month or so ago, I was chatting to random strangers when I was out for the night, and I met a guy called Chris. And Chris was telling me all about an organization, a nonprofit that he had been a part of creating here in the Keys called Queer Keys. And we met, we immediately hit it off. We had a lot in common, and we started to chat about the nonprofit and how we could support them. So we were discussing various things, and one of the things that came up was, did they need any support for Pride? And it turned out that they did. We were very honoured actually that they invited us to walk with them in the parade. So it was something that we were both very excited by. One of the things that is really that means a lot to me, especially knowing friends who belong to the community who have not. What is that noise? I don't know. Hedge trimmer.
It's a hedge trimmer.
It's the landscapers down the street.
Oh, I'm like, that is one mother of a bee. Like, I don't know where it is, but I'm like, oh.
The killer bees are back.
No. Not the mad hornets again. We've already dealt with them once.
Oh my goodness. I was like, that really distracted me for a second. I'm like, what is that?
For a second, I was like, oh, we can just edit it out. Nope.
Welcome
to the rabbit hole.
One of the things that is that means a lot to me around this time of year is knowing that I have friends and knowing people who weren't as supported by their families as they would have liked to have been when as they've kind of gone through their journey. One of the things that really appealed to me was to be able to give out some mum hugs. As two people who don't have our own children, we have an abundance of mum hugs to provide. There's some major sounds.
It's like Fargo wood chipper out there.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, what is that? I've got this vision in my head of like Joey putting Christmas trees into the chipper. Like, no, go into the chipper. So anyway. I digress. Let's carry on. And so what we decided to do is, as I said, we don't have children ourselves. We've got this abundance of mum love and mum hugs that we want to be able to share, especially with people who maybe haven't received that in that same way before. And so we went and got our... If you're listening on the audio, you just got to go back and just go to YouTube and just watch the video, just so you can see our shirts. We've got 3 mum hug shirts and they're awesome. So but it was interesting,
interesting
visual to see us sharing those. So we got our shirts and we asked them how they would like us to dress up, and they asked us to kind of add some rainbows and some glitter, and we kind of got all of our things ready to join in for the parade. So it was something that we've been really looking forward to.
I mean, you'd say glitter. Then I don't care what it is. So something that actually like moved me from the inside. It was like glitter and a good cause.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. We are in. What can we do to help? So on a personal front, it has been a bit of a challenging few weeks here for me from a biological standpoint. So I'm going to share that I've been having some challenges with my period recently. And I could hear like half of the audience recoiling, going, oh, she's not going to talk about periods. And
she
yes,
said the P word.
She said the P word. You know what she is? Because we have to get comfortable talking about these things, because half of the planet has periods, and it is something that can really affect people. I'm one of those people, so I think it's really important for us to normalize talking about these things. And my period this month was I'd had some challenges, medical challenges, and it meant that my period was actually 3 weeks late this month. And somebody who can sometimes suffer around that time of the month anyway, this one was tough. I was expecting it to be particularly tough when it arrived. And so unfortunately, Sunday was the day of the Pride Parade, and it had been a bit of a weird weekend here anyway, because we actually had a tropical storm that came through here on sort of Friday, Saturday. That I just thought was brilliant, because was it you who sent me the meme about the fact that that the storm had started out as Agatha, I think,
yep,
and then transitioned to Alex by the time it got to the Keys. So we were talking about how a transition storm had come to Key West on Pride weekend, which is brilliant, which we loved, and so. It had been a bit of a weird weekend, because they'd actually had to cancel a lot of the celebrations on the Saturday. We were actually supposed to also help man the table for Queer Keys at the street festival that was supposed to be happening all day Saturday, but it wasn't safe to have that heavy rain, high winds, and so that got cancelled. So we were putting all of our energy and focus onto Sunday. So it had been a bit of a weird weekend anyway. And then Sunday I realised as we were starting to get ready for Pride that I was starting to feel a little uncomfortable. I was starting to feel a bit crampy, and I was like, oh, why today of all days? Why couldn't it have been yesterday when it was raining outside and I was hanging out on the couch all day just editing podcasts? That would have been a far more convenient day for this. But no, apparently that wasn't as it was meant to be. So
yeah, that's one thing about periods. They're never convenient.
They never come when you want them to, and they always come when you don't, unfortunately. Yeah. We've all been there. Initially I was like, okay, it's fine. I will find a way through this. And as somebody, I tend to I tend towards as much sort of natural healthcare as I possibly can. So I try not to take painkillers if I can possibly help it. I try not to, I try to take supplements and those sorts of things. But on this occasion, I was like, you know what, this is a really important day to me. It was really hot here on Sunday. So I was like, it's going to be hot. We're going to be walking. I'm going to be feeling uncomfortable. I'm just going to take some painkillers ahead of time. So I took 2 different types of painkillers. I was like, I'm going to double up. having more than I'm allowed to have.
And we're talking over-the-counter painkillers too. I want to put that out there.
Yeah, I think it was.
She's like, I'm taking painkillers. I'm like, you're taking Tylenol,
right?
Okay.
No, other painkillers are available. Yeah, so I took acetaminophen and I took ibuprofen. Basically, I doubled up in terms of the two different
I didn't want
types.
people thinking that you
you
took an oxy and then
absolutely.
just went up to Vicodin.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. Yeah, over the counter, I was like, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of extra support to make sure I can get through today. And as Serena was here, we had lunch together and we started to get ready. And I think you could tell as we started to get ready that things weren't really going according to plan.
Yeah, I was holding my breath a little bit, just like, okay, we're just going to move slowly through this. And all of a sudden, she's going to be better.
Yeah, that was the hope.
That didn't happen.
That's not how it planned out. Panned out?
Panned out.
Even. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do my makeup and then I'm going to lay down for a second. And then I'm going to put some glitter on and then I'm going to lay down for a second. This was basically how I was getting ready. I was trying to, here's the thing. I knew that my body was telling me it needed something. And also there were other needs of mine that I really wanted to get met by being able to show up. One, it was something I wanted to be a part of, but two, there's this really important organization. The work that Queer Keys does is so important. They currently have a youth initiative where they're helping young people to be able to navigate their experiences, and there's so much good stuff that they're doing and we really wanted to support them, and obviously we said we were going to be there to support them, and I didn't want to let anyone down. So there were a lot of different other needs that were also up, and my body was telling me stuff. So I'm like, rather than just like many years ago, I'd have been like, right, push through, we're going to make this happen. I'd have just kept powering through. And rather than doing that, I was like, I'm going to do a little bit of what I need to do, and then I'm going to pause and have a break. And then I'm going to do a little bit more of what I need to do, and then I'm going to pause and have a break. In fact, you can probably see if you're on the video, you can still see I've got my glittery nails on from that I actually did the day, but I did on Saturday, all ready for my.
You finally got your tattoos off, though.
I didn't. We had little transfer tattoos on as well. So there were like all kinds of things that we'd done to get ready. But I was being mindful. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Deep breaths. I'm going to do a little bit and I'm going to rest. I'm going to do a little bit and then I'm going to rest. And so the Pride Parade was due to start at 5, but we wanted to get there around 3:30 to be there to help gather and support as everyone was kind of coming together. This sort of started about 12:30ish. I think probably is the best sort of timing. That's about accurate in terms of timing. And after maybe about an hour, all of a sudden it got a lot worse. And when I say a lot worse, I mean I was literally lying on the bathroom floor, unable to get up, and I was physically shaking. Like, go ahead.
Like, I had to pee, and I had to do so with accompaniment because she physically couldn't get off the bathroom floor.
I literally couldn't move. Got to fly over today as well. We've got all of the Key West Joys joining us on the podcast today.
Don't say that, because now you're gonna find out how keysy it can be noise.
It's gonna get interesting. Watch this space. So I started to really, and I was getting hot and cold sweats. Now I can imagine if you've not experienced challenges with period pains, as somebody who was assigned female at birth, you may not realize what this can be like. And if you're somebody who was not assigned female at birth, chances are you have no idea how this can be. Now, some people, they don't really experience too many challenges at that time of the month. There has been research done that has shown that period pains can be as bad as a heart attack. And unfortunately, I seem to be sometimes in that category. Now, I have some things that normally help with this, and because I've been moving places and what have you, I haven't been in the routine that I would normally be in, which would normally help, which is possibly also part of the reason that this month was so rough. But I was literally lying on the bathroom floor. I was shaking because at one point Serena said to me, "Do you want to try and like lay down on the bed?" And I literally lifted myself maybe half an inch and went, "Nope, staying here." Right?
Yeah, and it was like, okay, so the bathroom floor is it. Do you need a pillow? Like, yes. All right, what do you need in this little space that you have
to make this a little bit easier, or as easy as it can be for you? Mm-hmm. So Serena got me water. She got me a little towel to go under my head. I had my hoodie in there because the problem is that I was like, 1 minute I was chills, the next minute I was sweating, and like everything in between. It was it was tough. Like literally at one point, I was lying on a towel, under a towel with a hoodie over the top of me, trying to stay warm. And the next minute I was like lying on the tile, trying to cool down. Like it was really, really rough. So I was probably in that position for maybe an hour or so, maybe hour and a half before the point where we were due to leave. And Serena, bless her heart, she was so sweet. She was trying to find all these different options as to how we could still do what we could still be a part of Pride, right? Like you were saying, oh, we could go later, or we could meet the parade.
Yeah, or we can park the Jeep at a certain place and then pop out.
Wave and all that sort of thing. And I kind of stopped and I kind of felt into it. And the truth in that moment was that I wanted to go and support. One, I wanted to go and support Queer Keys. That was the primary thing for me. Two, I wanted to go and support Pride as in general. Three, I knew that we would have a good time doing that together. So there was a part of wanting to do that with Serena because we've never attended a Pride event together. And so there were all of these different things. And then I kind of took a few deep breaths and I was like, okay, I do not think I'm going to make this. I mean, I literally was shaking on the bathroom floor.
She looked up at me with tears in her eye. Yeah. I mean, she was...
I was crying and I basically said, I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I can do this. And I said that the reality is it's not about me today. Today is not about me. This month is not about me. This parade is not about me. It's about the people that we're there to support. And I would rather that you go and represent us and help and support them, which is what we said we would do, than us finding a way that you can support me in still being a part of it, because it's not about me. This is not for me. And so and I could tell it was tough for you, right?
It was heartbreaking. I was like, not only am I leaving my best friend on the floor crying, literally, and she's like, go. I'm like, but you're here. But I mean, it is. It was something we were doing together. It was something our business was doing together. And it was hard to be like, okay, we want to do this. I want to support this. What I want to do for myself, what I want to do for our business, and what I want to do as a friend.
Right.
It really was. It was hard to let that really settle where it felt okay. And by the time, I took a minute and I walked out and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, she's right. Like, This is why we're doing this. Right. So this is what I'm going to do.
Right. So Serena left between maybe 3 and 3:15 to go down and meet up with everybody else. And she left me on the bathroom floor with a little bottle of water and my hoodie. And I said to her, I was like, get my iPad. I'm sticking something on Netflix to try and distract me from the pain I'm in right now. And I'd actually just started watching that morning a documentary called Disclosure, which is about the history of trans representation in the media. And I was like, well, it felt like a very appropriate thing to be watching on the day of the Pride Parade. So I sort of sat and started watching. And as soon as I kind of had resigned, and I'm going to wind back a little bit in the story, because before the worst of it hit me, Serena asked me a question. And she said to me, is your head battling with your body?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I talked a lot that day. I don't remember what I said.
And I was like, oh, I think maybe she's right. My head is battling with my body is making it very clear what is happening or what is not happening. And my head's like, but I really want to go, because other needs were up. Mm-hmm. So my body, like foundation functioning, was like, we can't get off the floor. And the rest of me's go, but I've got these other needs that want to be met as well. And the reality was, at that point, we always talk about the most important being the taproot of the tree and meeting your needs from the roots up. If your roots are not met and your roots are crying out to be met, everything else goes out the window until those are being supported. And that's really what happened.
Yeah, because you could have showed up and then you would have been fine standing for a minute, and then your army crawling the rest of the way because you're like, I'm going to do this parade.
Well, and the reality is we were there to help and support. I could have, one, ended up making it harder because I needed help. Mm-hmm. And two, I could have ended up drawing attention to me when I said it wasn't about me. So it was like, I'm like, just doesn't feel like the right thing to do. So as Serena left, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to make it. And I was texting friends and going, no, I'm not going to make it. I'm really sad. But by doing that, by saying, no, not going to happen. I'm just staying on the bathroom floor right now. And for those of you like, why is she on the bathroom floor? Like, I needed to be able to get to the bathroom. I needed to be able to get to, I was cool surface was good. And I didn't have literally, I couldn't move to get from the bed to the bathroom and back again. So that's why the bathroom floor was where it was at that day.
Well, and that's kind of where you, I mean, literally landed. Like,
yes.
I was doing makeup outside of the bathroom, and then I went in, and I'm like, oh, you're down there. Okay.
This is new. Okay. So anyway, so I sat, I laid down, and I just relaxed, because I was like, I'm not going anywhere now. I took my earrings out. I took like made myself as comfortable as I could. I took my tutu bustle off that was like strewn on the bathroom floor, and I just relaxed. And here's the thing, I was so disappointed and I was so sad. And as Serena said, like, I was in tears. And the reality was I was sad. So what I do? I met my emotional expression need. I allowed that to come. I allowed myself to feel it. I allowed myself to express it. And within a few minutes, like, the worst of that sadness and disappointment had kind of come out. And I just allowed myself to just rest where I was. So I rested. I was watching this documentary, and towards the end of it, I started to kind of feel myself getting really tired. And I was like, maybe I just need to rest. You were right about the Key West sounds today, weren't you? They're all coming to join the party. So I was like, you know what? And I felt myself kind of nod for a second. And I don't think it would probably have been more than a few seconds or a minute. But I felt myself nod off. And then the interesting thing was, I was like, I feel like I'm tired now. So I actually stopped watching the documentary. I put something else on just for background noise to distract myself from the pain. And that was when I nodded, and I was like, oh. And when I kind of nodded, I kind of woke myself up again. And I'm like still lying on the bathroom floor, and I was like, okay, hold on. Don't feel as bad as I did. Okay. So I'm like, and again, if you've never dealt with this kind of challenge, these pains come in waves. It's not like a constant thing where you're constantly, and one of the things I said to Serena earlier in the day was, the part of the issue is it comes in waves. And what happens is that when you're in a wave where the pain isn't present, you're like, is that because the pain isn't present, or is that because I found a position in which it's not painful right now? So you don't want to, like, when you're not in pain, that's the time you can move. But you don't want to move, because what happens if you move and you get yourself in pain again? So like, there's an element of like, okay, try not to move, try not to breathe.
I am a statue. I am a statue.
So I was like, okay, I'm not feeling as much pain right now. I'm just going to stay. I'm going to stay where I am. Still not in too much pain. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try sitting up. So I sat up on the bathroom floor, and I'm like, okay, I still feel okay. I'm going to sit here for a second and just see how it goes. Okay, I'm still doing okay. Like, I'm going to try and get to the couch. Sat on the couch. I'm like, still feeling okay. Now, it's important to say at this point that I don't believe this was the painkillers kicking in, because I'd had the painkillers 2 hours before the worst of the pain hit, and it wasn't touching it at all. So I don't think this was like, oh, all of a sudden the painkillers kicked in and I'm fine, because I was well past that window. I was like, okay, I'm feeling all right. I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, oh, it's just about 4:00. The parade doesn't start until 5. I'm going to see how I feel for the next sort of 15, 20 minutes. I checked on my phone to see whether an Uber was like nearby, like whether I'd be able to get one quickly. I'm like, could get an Uber in a minute or two. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how I feel for the next 20 minutes. And if I feel okay, I'm going to get an Uber down to the start of the parade, and I'm going to go. So all this time I'm texting Serena to let her know this is what's going on and this is what I'm thinking. And at this point, I had a weird moment where I was like, I really fancy some ice cream. I was like, I know that sunflower seed can be very good sometimes for that at that time of the month. And I had some sunflower seed ice cream. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have some of that and see how it lands in my system. See whether the system copes okay with it. Because I'd felt nauseous earlier. There was all kinds of things. I'm like, that's what my body is craving right now. That's what I'm going to give it. So I had a little bowl of ice cream. Still feeling okay. So at this point, I'm texting Serena saying, I think I may be okay. I'm going to see about coming down. I mean, imagine you probably nearly fell over because where you'd left me.
Well, I was shocked, yeah, because the way that I left her, I was slightly concerned that you would let your head get the best of you, and you were kind of motoring up, knowing that's not really what you do.
Yes.
But there really wasn't a possibility in my head of where I left you to, oh, I think I'm doing okay. I'm like, it's been like I left you on the floor.
Yeah, you left me just gone 3 o'clock. This was just gone 4 o'clock. So it was like an hour later. And so, and I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. And I kind of waited it out for about 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, I'm still feeling okay. At this point, I did a quick needs assessment. Like, what am I feeling physically? What am I feeling emotionally? What needs are up? What needs want to be met? And the reality was also, I knew that I could get an Uber at any time. So what I did was I was like, okay, I'm going to go down. I will start to walk in the parade. If at any point I don't feel up to it, I'll call an Uber. It'll bring me back home. I can go right back to the bathroom floor. Like, it wasn't like I'm committing to doing the rest of this now. It was like, right now, this is what meets my needs best in this moment, is to get up and go, because I knew I would have been disappointed if I'd stayed where I was and I'd been fine for the next 3 hours. I'd be like, well, I could have gone to the parade. So I'm like, actually, it meets my needs most. It met my needs most about an hour ago to say I'm not going. I'm going to hang out on the bathroom floor for the rest of the afternoon. And then it was like, actually, no, I'm feeling okay. It now meets my needs both best to go and give it a go. So I hop in an Uber. I text Serena. I'm like, I'm on my way. And I'm like, if disbelief could be communicated in a text message, that's what was coming my way at that point. It's like, yay, okay.
Yeah, like, I'm excited. Are you sure? Yeah. Like,
and when you saw me, I mean, I think you immediately could see that it wasn't, I wasn't like pushing through. I wasn't forcing myself. I genuinely was in a different place to the way I was an hour earlier when you'd left me.
Absolutely.
So that's what we did. So we joined the parade, and it was amazing. And it was it was such an honor to walk with Quickies. It was such an honor to just to see the kids, the joy and the fun and the laughter they were having, and how relaxed and they were just in their element. And it was just beautiful to watch. They'd made these identity flags with little flowers attached, and they were giving them out to people as we were kind of walking along the parade route. It was like we were blowing bubbles. It was just joy. That was the only way to describe it, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of, it was just, you were engulfed in like love, and just, it was like one big hug. It really was. You just kind of had those good feelings. Like, it was so fucking hot.
It was very hot.
But even that, we were all dripping sweat. We're covered in sweat and bubbles and glitter. And we're all just kind of meshing into each other. And
this is where we're at.
Yeah, and that was, it really was.
It's part of the kind of camaraderie of it. Like we were all in it together, and everyone was just enjoying that they were in it together. And it was interesting because as we went past, there were several moments along the way where people would come out and say, "Can I have a mum hug, please?" And just to be able to kind of give that bit of love. And we had people, I know you gave out one as well, where I had people, like, as I was hugging them, saying, "Oh, you give such good hugs. Like, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this." Which was just really lovely. I was like, yes, we're doing something which feels good to the people we're here to support, which was the whole point. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, this wasn't our opportunity to throw on some rainbow and glitter and, be part of a parade.
Yes.
We can do that.
We can do that
any day.
Yeah.
Like, Rando Monday, there's Claire and Serena having a parade. Like,
in glitter, yeah.
It's not all that shocking.
No, it's not.
Kind of sounds fun. But yeah, we wanted to be there to support. So to actually
to hear it was feeling supportive, that was okay. We've done what we wanted to do in terms of offering that support. So we got to the end of the parade, and we were all disgusting and sweaty, and at that point somebody went, "Do you want to go for a drink?" And I was like, okay. And again, checked in. Body, how's my body feeling? And it was interesting because I remember we walked back down, and I realized I checked on Monday. I walked 5 miles on Sunday, which might not be a lot for a lot of people, but I don't walk that very often. So I was like, given what state I'd been in.
Well, and we're talking after after a tropical storm comes through, there's always kind of like this humid heat wave that follows it. So we had that on top of the fact it was 90 something degrees. So I mean, it was a challenging day from a body standpoint. So it was important for everybody to check in. All right, are we, we kept checking with everybody around. Are you hydrated? Do we need more water?
Right.
Do you need to sit down? Do we need shade? Really checking in.
Which side of the street are we going to walk on? Like in terms of the actual physical street, one side was a bit more shaded, like walk on this side. And actually there was a brilliant, at least one of the kids, I think a couple of them, had figured out that they could do runs into and out of like where we had like big stores that had 2 sets of doors. They were running into one set of doors and running out of the other to get a hit of AC.
I thought one of the kids was going. I was like, "Oh, candy stop!" And then they came in and came back out, and just the look on their face was like, "Oh, I'm like, you found AC.
AC. That's such a good idea."
So, of course, me with the challenges I've been having with my skin cancer diagnosis. I mean, we're at it's like 5 o'clock at night before we even start walking. I'm lathered in sunscreen.
We both
my
were.
arms were white, which is one of the reasons why I never really wore sunscreen because, yeah. But it's a small price to pay.
We did what we need to do to take care of our needs. And that was the same thing. I'm like, I cannot go and walk in the sun with Serena without putting sunscreen on. That was the last thing I did before I left the house because I want to make sure that I'm meeting my needs, and we're kind of listening to the learnings that we've been getting recently. So someone said, "Should we go for a drink?" And I was like, "Okay." So we went and went to go for a drink, and it was interesting because somebody offered to buy shots, and then buy us another drink, and I was like, "I'll have the shot. I'm just going to have water," because I'm like, again, I'm listening to my body. My body actually felt like it would be okay. And I mean, when I say we do shots, we didn't spend all afternoon. We had one shot. That was it for the day.
It was an easy.
Yeah, it was a lighter one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I'm going to have this. I'm going to see how it lands in my body. I'll let my body tell me what works and what it needs. What it needed was water at that point. So that's what I did. And it was like the whole day was this continual balancing of what do I need most in this moment? And this is, we talk about the needs formula, and the needs formula being we need to not only focus on what meets our needs, but we need to look at what meets our needs and what ways is that going to cost our needs. We look at the ways we can meet our needs. We want it to be benefiting us way more than it's costing us, and benefiting us really ideally and not really costing us in many ways at all. And so that's what I was constantly doing, is like weighing up moment by moment. Right now, what meets my needs most is going to cost some of my needs because I'm going to be disappointed and I'm going to go to the parade to lay on the bathroom floor. But that's what meets my needs most in this moment. Now I'm feeling okay. My body feels okay. Okay, what meets my needs most? To go to the parade. Meets my needs most to go find some AC and have a drink. Yes, that's a good idea right now. But, what kind of drink do I have? Oh, well, I'll have one of those, but I don't want one of those until I kind of see what my body tells. So it was this constant like checking in and seeing what it was that our body's been eating. So we then decided we were going to go for a little bit of a wander because apparently we hadn't walked enough that day. And
let's leave this AC and go meander on the hot street. Cool.
And it was cooler by that point because the sun was. We actually got down to the water's edge for sunset, which was kind of nice, and we got to see the pretty sunsets and everything. And we were walking and talking and chatting, and then we were like, I was like, you know what? I made the mistake of asking Serena and Joe what they were doing for dinner. And what did you say?
Eating.
In unison.
Eating.
I'm like, thanks. Helpful. Would you like to do that together? Sure. So we decide. I'm like, ask.
Sometimes we're two peas in a pod.
Ask a stupid question. So we decided we were going to go grab some food. So we started to go and eat. And this was where the tables kind of turned a little bit in the day, didn't it?
Yeah. The heat really got to me. Mm-hmm. It really got to me. And at one point, I had run ahead of our group because we were running low on water. And, top priority for me was making sure that the kids were hydrated.
Right.
Well, top priority for me was making sure I'm hydrated and then the kids. But with water depleting, I was like, I want to make sure they have the resources. And one of the organizers was like, oh, I'm going to jump off and get some water. I'm like, let me do that. You stay with your group.
You're one of the co-founders of the organization.
Right.
We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
like
yeah.
I can run and do errands. So I ran up and grabbed a 24-pack of water, and then came out and realized we were space 15, and I happened to know that when I came out, we were at space 20 in the parade. Like group 20 was,
and they're large groups, some of these, so it was a long
and
space.
and it was the Jeep parade. So I want to say there were probably 10 to 20 Jeeps lined up side by side, and I see this little umbrella with my group like 2 blocks up, and I'm like, oh shit. So
running not being Serena's specialist sort of area, like, or something you enjoy doing in any way, shape, or form.
But sometimes walking is out of my specialty in many ways. But so I took I was like, nope, gotta do it. It's hot, but let's go. I got this. The parade cannot move that fast. I had walked already a couple of miles, and it was very leisurely.
Right. And the thing about it at this point was, like, we were quite spaced out. Our group was quite spaced out. I didn't realize that Serena had gone to get water. And so I turned around to Chris and I was like, where's Serena? She's like, oh, she went to get water. And I'm like, she's like, she went to CVS. I'm like, we're moving kind of good. So I'm like texting Serena at this point. We're now at Mangoes. We're now at Southern. Like, I'm like, do you need help? And like, can I do anything at this point? I'm like, I can't stop the parade, but maybe I can help you get back here quicker. So yeah.
I wasn't able to even see those texts because I have this case of water. I'm trying to hustle it, and hustle isn't my thing. Usually isn't my thing either. But so I'm hustling, and I'm like, nope, just keep going. And then finally, I'm like, my body was like, no.
Because your body has physically gone through a lot in the last couple of months. So it makes sense that the body's like, nope, I'm done.
But normally I would have been like, no, I need to get this. No, I need to get there. This is for the kids. This is for, but I was like, no, I'm going to take a minute. And I'm going to take a minute. I don't know where this minute's going to lead, but I'm going to take a minute. And I put down my case of water, and finally somebody looked over at me and they're like, are you okay? And I looked at them. I'm like, I don't know. Do you need help? And I'm like, yeah, I really could use some help right now. Like, that would be awesome. Like, I'm trying to get this case of water to that umbrella. And he looks and he's like, all right. He takes the case from me and he's like, follow me. And so I'm, hustling my little legs to keep up with this tall guy with my case of water. But just taking that break for myself allowed somebody else to come in to help me, where before I was kind of like, all these people are looking at me, realizing I'm struggling a little bit, but nobody said anything. I was going. They weren't going to stop me. So taking that moment,
made the difference.
It made the difference.
Yeah.
But it definitely pushed my
physical limits a little.
Yeah. Like, I was hot before. Oh,
yeah.
God, I was hot after. So I started to feel myself, and kind of like the heat, just, in general, it was a long day, a lot of walking. My body was just like, all right,
more sun than you'd had in a long time because of the treatment. So yeah.
And it was nighttime, but
the sun was still up at that point.
And that's the thing, the island, until the sun sets, it's
hot. It's hot after the sun sets often as well, but it's really hot before it sets.
So we decided we were going to go and eat, and we were supposed to go see a band that we're really big fans of. And we were excited about, my husband was excited. He had kind of stuck around with us because he wanted to, see our friend play. And we're eating, and I'm slowly getting closer to the table.
I'm sat opposite Serena, and I literally watch her start to sink lower and lower and lower in her chair while we're eating.
I'm just kind of melting into it. And we went over after dinner. I was like, you know what? I can't. Like, I want to. I knew that, like, a bunch of people were going to meet up after. I'm like, I want to be there, but my body is just like, you need to be done. Like, you had a good day.
It's been fun,
but you are done.
Right.
And so I tapped out, and I was I was disappointed, but I acknowledged. I was like, I really want to be here, and I know this is what's best for me. So then, to double down, the next day, I see a friend who's like, oh yeah, Claire went to Bobby's. Now, I think we've spoken about Bobby's before.
I think I mean, if we haven't mentioned Bobby's before, I mean, we must have mentioned Bobby's on multiple occasions so far throughout this podcast.
It's our favorite karaoke bar. It's probably
love
one of our favorite bars in general.
Yeah.
It's family. It's just a great little dive. And
as in, it's like our little island family like enjoys hanging out in that bar.
Yes.
It's not a family bar. It's a place where it kind of feels like our Cheers.
Yes.
Like you walk in and you like everybody knows your name, and like we walk in and it's like, oh look, it's Elaine and Bobby's here and Vicky's behind the bar and blah blah blah. It's a fun place that we've really always enjoyed. A fun night out in Key West normally isn't a fun night out in Key West unless it ends at Bobby's. Like normally most of our fun nights out end at Bobby's.
And there is an element, Bobby himself is a big supporter of the community.
Yeah.
It is would you say it's a...
I would say it's an LGBTQIA plus friendly bar.
Yes.
And it's more than it isn't. Let's put it that way.
So on Pride, that's a place that
people are going to go.
People are going to go. That's a place I wanted to be. I always want to be at Bobby's. And to
we love
hear
it there.
that she went, I was so excited from where she had come from that she got to go and actually got to do it. And part of me was like, oh, like, that makes me sad. I wish I had gone. I wish I had gone. And normally that feeling is what would have stuck. I would have been like, oh, I missed out on that. Like that would have been what I was left with. But there was an extra step that I took that is something that is newer. Like it's something I'm working on and cultivating. It was like, no, but I'm really glad that I went home and went to sleep because that's what my body needed. Like, and I was able to wake up the next day and actually do things. And like my body felt like it had been through the ringer. And I can only imagine if I had tacked on another 4+ hours, because Claire may have only stayed at Bobby's for an hour or two. But if Claire and I were there, there's a chance that it would be, 3, 4.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing is that because I went to go and watch the band play, and it was great. I was there for about an hour, and the place got really busy, and it was really fun. And they're one of my favorite bands on the island, and so I was like, and they hadn't played like my favorite songs yet, but I was getting this kind of like this intuitive hit, like go to Bobby's now. And I'm like, oh, go to Bobby's now. Okay, I'll go to Bobby's now. Like again, it was like that's what felt right for me in that moment. And I walked in, and the interesting thing was most of the people that we know weren't there. There was maybe 2 people in the entire bar that I knew, and it was busier than it would normally be on a Sunday night because it was Pride. But I pulled up a pew at the bar and got myself a drink. I put in a couple of song requests to sing and got chatting to some people. I met some really really fun people there. And here's the thing is that normally when we go to Bobby's, even when I've gone by myself, we have a very bad habit of going, do you want to go to Bobby's to sing one song? And we do it every time.
It's never been a thing. Like one song at Bobby, it's not a thing. Like, I don't know why that phrase comes out of our mouth.
The reason is because normally we're getting a little tired at the point in the evening we go to Bobby's. So it's like, well, let's go to Bobby's and do one song, because we're not going, we're going to go to Bobby's until 4 a.m. because we're already tired, and that doesn't seem like a good idea. But there's something about when you go in and the energy of the place and seeing everybody, normally it picks our energy up. So that's the reason that one song is never ever one song. Quite often one song becomes like 8 songs, and like 12 o'clock becomes 4 o'clock.
They're like, ladies, you don't have to go home, but
can't
you
stay
can't
here.
Stay here.
Yeah. So and it was a very interesting experience for me, because I went and I got there maybe about 11 o'clock, and I was only there for about an hour, and I sung 4 songs. I sung 3 songs, and then the guy that was running the karaoke decided he wanted to sing a song with me and like threw me in the deep end. Luckily, I knew the song. It was fine. But it was really good because I wanted to go. I wanted to enjoy Bobby's. And while I was at Bobby's, there was a guy who was on stage who came over afterwards. And he was like, oh my God, you've got such a great voice. I was like, that's very sweet of you. He said, can I get a mum hug, please? And I was like, of course you can. So I got to give out another mum hug, which felt really good. And
And that was enough. Going for that hour. Whereas previously I would have, and I was still having fun. There was a part of me that didn't want to leave. But there was that part of me that was like, okay, I've come, I've enjoyed myself. I've sung some songs. What?
I came, I saw.
Yeah, I came, I came, I saw, I sang. But I did. I came, I saw, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time, and now it meets my needs more to go home and rest than it does to stay. And the interesting thing is that I felt okay when I left. I came home, I slept. The following day I woke up, I was feeling a bit rough again, because unfortunately it's not a linear thing, these things.
These things being the period.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like period pains, they don't just be like, okay, we're here, we're done, bye. See you next month. Like, that's not how it works. It's like, oh, we're here. Oh no. Oh, sorry, we forgot something. We're back again. That's what happened on the Monday. And I actually had to cancel. I had a training with my physio, with my personal trainer on Monday. And again, it was like, what do I do? Because I really wanted to do training. I hadn't done training in a little while. My body was feeling achy. And I was like, actually, you know what? My body will not take 90 minutes of training today. Even gentle training, I need to rest, because I did the things that worked for me to do them yesterday, and today I'm not going to do them. Today I'm going to just rest and do the things I need to get done.
Well, in that, you're saying you actually listened to what you needed to do on Sunday and then listened to what you needed to do on Monday. It just wasn't what you had planned or scheduled to do. And that's so often we were like, we have it in the calendar, we have it in the book, this is on the schedule, I have to do it. And we don't listen to what like our bodies and our beings are telling us. They can be screaming and we're like, no,
don't do it. Like, sorry, did you say something? Oh, I didn't hear anything.
By the time Claire had gotten to Bobby's, I had been out cold for about an hour and a half in my bed.
Yeah.
Which shows, I didn't go home and just la-di-da it, and I was like, oh, well, I could have been at Bobby's while I was watching TV. My body was like... No.
We actually saw ourselves briefly on Monday evening, and Serena said this. She was like, I was out cold by like 9:30, 10. And I'm like, I'm so glad that you went home, because it was obviously what you needed. The fact that you were and someone who sometimes maybe stays up a little late or has some trouble getting to sleep, like bang, out cold. Okay, yes, that's my body telling me, thank you very much. That's exactly what I needed from you right now. More of this, please.
Yes. And actually the next day it happened kind of again where my body, like, it told me, it's like, all right, no, we're going to go to bed. And my husband looked at me. He's like, well, that's weird, because I'm usually later. I do struggle with some insomnia. And so there's a lot of times I'm just kind of meandering at night. But because I listened to my body when it was telling me you're tired and went home and went to sleep, I didn't stretch it out, because what I'll do is I'll be like, oh, I'm tired, and I'll motor through it. And then I can't sleep because my body's like, well, fuck you very much.
Well, and it's that thing of like, and this is what a lot of people actually do when it comes to sleep, is that when your body starts to immediately kind of feel like kind of relaxed, of like, oh, I'm feeling tired. If you go to sleep at that point, quite often, I'm the same. Like at that point, drift nicely off onto sleep.
Like I don't remember my head hitting the pillow. Like, oh, that's the best feeling.
Right. And then if I push past, I'm just going to finish this thing, I miss that window, and now I'm overtired, and now I'm more tired, so I need the sleep more, but I've missed my window, so I'm lying there going, I really need to sleep. I'm so tired. I just want to be asleep right now. So it's again this thing of listening to your body, and the thing for me about the biggest learning for me, and not that it's really a learning, because we're already aware of this. This is something we're very much aware of. But the biggest thing I think for me about this weekend was, I believe that it was my willingness to surrender to the fact that I wasn't going to be going to the event. That was the only reason I actually made it to the event. I think that my listening to what my body was saying, and rather than, because we had things that we wanted to do to take with us, and like Serena was like threading bubble wands and various things, like while I was lying on the bathroom floor, she was doing things to get ready for the parade. And I could have been like, oh God, no, I need to help. And I could have like combat crawled my way into the other room and like laid on the floor doing it, but I wouldn't have rested. And I think that what happened was me saying, I'm not going to go, meant that my entire body went, and I relaxed and I rested for that hour, 90 minutes, whatever it was. And I think through doing that, that was what gave me what I needed to then be like, hold on a minute. I think I'm feeling okay. Oh, I can get to the couch. Oh, I can eat some ice cream. Oh, I think I can make the parade. Like it was and it was a gradual thing. And again, in the past, the second I felt okay on the bathroom floor, I'd been like, I'm fine, I'm going to go. And I'd been booking an Uber and like rushing out the door. And again, if I'd pushed myself at that point, I think I'd have been like, whoa, okay, nope. Back to the bathroom floor again. But because I went in alignment with my capacity at that point in time, I listened to my needs, I listened to my body, and I'm like, what do you need right now? Water. Okay, we'll have some water. What do you need right now? Ice cream, apparently. Okay, ice cream it is. What do you need?
If you say so.
All right then. And I needed to check where I was at. I'm going to go sit on the couch. Can I sit on the couch and feel comfortable? Can I move around and do a few things? Okay, I'm doing okay. All right, but I think that if I had not allowed myself to go to that place of I'm not going, then I would have I continued to push myself to do things. I think there's an element, being really honest, looking back at how I would have done things many, many years ago, of if I allow myself to think that I'm not going, I'm gonna crash. And once I crash, there's no way in hell I'm gonna be making it. And I think that what I would have tried to do is I'd have tried to push myself so as not to surrender, so that not to admit defeat, I suppose, and not to, because I wouldn't have wanted to give my body space to allow me to not go. I would be like, no, we've got to do this, and I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to hope the adrenaline is just going to get me through this. And in reality, I might have made it. I might have got to the parade. At one point, I wouldn't have. Yeah. But I might have. I could have pushed myself. And I could have tried various things to get myself there. But I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't have been a help. I probably would have been a hindrance. I probably would have drawn the attention that was not mine to have. And I would have absolutely not made it to the band. I would definitely have not made it to Bobby's. And I would have probably been wiped out for the next 2 days because I'd have pushed my body beyond its capacity. And this is one of the things that we've always said, is that whatever you have the capacity for in any moment is exactly what you need in that moment. So if all you have the capacity for is rest, then if that's what you have the capacity for, that's what you need. And so often we don't listen to our capacity. We listen to our other needs or our desires or other things. I mean, it would have been so easy years ago. I'd have been like, I said I would be there. Mm-hmm. I am not letting these people down. And I would have pushed myself and probably been not a help, but an hindrance to them. I mean, how is that helpful? I'd have made it all about what everyone else would have thought of me if I hadn't gone. And this was the first time that we were showing up to volunteer. It was the first time we'd offered to help. And I was like, I don't want to say we're going to show up because, I mean, we're on an island of people where people can be a bit flaky here and say, yeah, I'll be there, and just not show up. And I didn't want them to think that's who we were, because that's not who we are. And at the same time, what's more important, my physical well-being or that? And it's like, if I'd explained that to people and be like, when we were walking the parade, I remember saying to, I think it was Chris I was saying to, I did not think I was going to make this. And he said, yeah, Serena said you went. I was like, literally, I was lying shaking on the bathroom floor an hour before I came here. He was like, really? He was like, rough night last night. And I'm like, I wish I could have claimed responsibility for this. Like, because that I'd have been like, okay, I've done this to myself. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to lay here and wait until it passes. But like, nope, unfortunately, it was period pains. I sometimes suffer badly with them. He was like, oh yeah. He said, listen to me, he was like sounding like I know what you're talking about. I know how it is. And I was like, I appreciate the empathy. Like, nevertheless. But it's very interesting how this would have played out had I pushed myself. And the impact that there would have been what we've learned is that when you don't listen to your capacity, there is this ripple effect that extends far beyond the impact of just listening to your capacity in the first place.
Well, and I think listening to your capacity, kind of like your mind and your body, they absorb these things. They absorb trends and, patterns. So if habits,
mm-hmm.
yes. If
Sorry, I just realised that sounded like wabbits. Like, I've turned into Elmer Fudd all of a sudden. Wascally wabbits. Sorry.
Now you have me thinking of Bugs Bunny. Jeez, envisioning him in a dress. God.
And actually, he appeared in Disclosure about the
cross-dressing?
the representation of trans in the media. So we've come full circle. Anyway,
is that what we're calling this?
Your body recognizes habits.
So the fact that Claire gave herself the permission to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do this, and met her needs, listened to what her body was doing, her body gets into that habit, and especially living and breathing this work, it's like, okay, well, if I need to stop at some point, she's going to listen. I don't need to shut down to protect myself because I'm getting used to not swinging back and forth in my chair. So if I'm in a hallway then yelling at you, I'm so sorry.
And also, just so you know, Serena is speaking as if she is my body right now. She's not talking as herself. Like, I just realized that sounded like you were saying that to me for a second. I'm like, no, she's pretending that's what my body is saying.
Yes, that's what her body is saying. But the fact, you know, her body knows, her being knows, she's going to check in. Like, I don't.
Right. Well, and it's like, I mean, and it's interesting because this morning I had a momentary situation which was very similar in the sense that I very, very badly stabbed my toe. I caught like one of my small toes on a piece of wall that was jutted out, and it bent backwards and back again. It was not pleasant. I mean, I was in a bad way for a moment there. I was like, oh, I think I'm going to be sick. I thought I was going to pass out. Like, the pain was incredible. And after a short while of letting it pass, deep breaths, lots of deep breaths were had, lots of like dumping the wall. There was a lot of stimming behavior that was happening in that moment, like just to try and cope with the pain in that moment. And I stopped and I took a deep breath, and it hurt, but I was like, okay, I'm okay now. I can carry on doing things. And what did I do? I could have easily, I had things I was wanting to do this morning, and I actually went, you know what? I'm just going to have a chilled morning before Serena gets here, and then we're going to record. Because again, I could have pushed myself, but it wouldn't have been in alignment with what my body was needing in that moment. I had to listen to what my body was saying. My body was saying, this fucking hurts. Stop. Sit. Rest. I'm like, I can do that. Okay, let's do that.
I also have to say the way that I would have showed up a couple of years ago is a lot different in many ways.
Yeah.
But being that this was something that we had planned on doing, I mean, we ordered tutus and all of the things. Yeah. And, you know, we put some time and thought and, you know, real effort into just what we were bringing, you know.
And also in the important, recognizing within that balance of how do we engage and support with the community without, I mean, because Serena and I don't know whether you know this about us, but we can, on occasion, be just a little bit extra. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit.
I mean, like a little glitter sprinkling of extra.
Sprinkle of extra. Yeah. Sometimes we can go all out. Frequently, we go all out.
We enjoy going all out.
That's our thing. Like, we enjoy like going all in and going all out. Mm-hmm. We go all the ways. And the thing about it is, in that situation, is that we wanted to, like, how do we engage? How do we support? How do we show up in support and show that we are part of this group and that we're supporting this group without pulling focus, without drawing attention to us, because it wasn't about us. Pride is not about us. The parade was not about us. We were there in support of the kids. So how do we make it about them? So we're there, and we're obviously there in solidarity with them, but we're not drawing focus. So there was a lot, we put some thought and energy into what were we going to wear and the things we were going to do.
Yeah. And when Claire was on the floor, I knew how important this was to, how important this was to not only both of us, but to her, and that she wanted to be there for many reasons. Yeah. And part of me wanted to pull her out of the hole she's in, like, oh, come on. Or there were a couple of points where I knew I had a window of, like, you know, a couple of minutes where I could have been like, all right, let's go out the door. And I could have motored it along, or I could have guilted her. Or I could have been like, oh, you don't have it in you. But that's not what she needed. That wasn't the support she needed. I just needed to be there with her. Right. And instead of trying to pull her out of it or make her feel better or feeding into it, it's like, okay, how can I support you?
Right.
I don't know. All right, do you need a pillow? I don't even know. It's like, all right, well, I wouldn't want to lay on the bathroom floor without something under my head. So I'm like, all right, what would I need? And because Claire and I have the relationship we do and we know each other well enough, there is an element that I can kind of...
You've got a fairly good understanding of what I'm probably going to want or need in that moment, even when I don't.
Right. It's like, okay, I know she's going to want water at some point.
Yes.
Okay, I need chapstick. Okay, there's chapstick here, and put them in strategic places around the house. So if she makes it to another room, you have a chapstick in reach.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I do realize like a couple of years ago, I would have, I would have been like, no, we're doing it. Come on, we're
together.
doing it.
Come on,
you can
got
do this.
Yeah.
Like, just put more glitter on. You'll be fine. Like, and it was hard.
More glitter. Okay, I can do this. I'm glittered up. Like, 'cause that's really, I think, where I would have been at that point.
Yeah, you would have been a sparkly crying disco ball.
Which was not going to help anybody we were there to support. That's the whole point.
And if I had pulled her out in just my own experience, not even looking at the bigger experience, it probably wouldn't have been as fun for me either, because I would be her main support. And if she wasn't feeling good, like,
yeah,
it just all, circles and comes back.
And it would have had that ripple effect. So me not honoring my needs would have actually impacted Serena's experience of the day, and us being where we were at probably would have rippled effect on the people that we were there to support and their experience of the day. It might even, like, if there was a very real possibility based on where I was at and what I was experiencing when I was lying on the bathroom floor. If that had hit me midway through the parade, I possibly would have collapsed, may have needed an ambulance. I mean, that in and of itself is expensive over here, but that would have then affected the experience of somebody who was watching the parade, because people are going to be like, oh, can we help? What do you need? Like, and they would have focused on me rather than enjoying. So like, there would have been this like ripple effect of not honoring my needs would have actually negatively impacted a lot of other people's needs. I wouldn't have even thought about that previously. I'd be like, we said we were going to be there. We're going to be there to support them. We're going to do this.
If I pass out, they'll figure it out for me.
Yeah, exactly. Or they'll leave me on the side of the road and just keep walking. No, I don't think that's what they would have done at all. But that's the thing, is that wouldn't have been. And even if, let's say, I know a ridiculous scenario, that's what they'd have done. They'd have then felt bad. They'd have been thinking about me rather than focusing on enjoying the parade. So this is the thing. No matter how this would have unfolded, it would have had that impact. And I was able to show up in a way that was supportive, and that's what I was wanting to do. And anything other than that really was making it about me and not about the people that we were there to support. So by not taking care of my needs and not making sure that I could support, this is a really good, like, for people who are recovering rescuers, both of us, and people who are people pleasers and people who are all about like giving and being generous to other people. If you do not take care of yourself first and foremost and make sure it's within your capacity, you can have this ripple effect, not intentionally, but the impact can be such that you end up actually causing real challenges for the very people that you want to support. And so this is why we talk about being self first and about taking care of your own needs. It's my responsibility to take care of my needs. And I'm going to be honest, there were like a few years back, I mean, these years back, like if we gone back like
how many years was that?
I think like we go back like 15-20 years, like way before I started doing this work, I'd have been lying on the bathroom floor going, I don't want Serena to go and enjoy it without me, and I don't want to be on the bathroom floor by myself. And I'd have been like, please can you stay with me, because I don't want to be here by myself, I don't feel well, and what if something happens, and blah blah blah. And I genuinely, and it would have been a really ineffective strategy to try to meet my needs. There's so many things I can think about, like how I would have dealt with it back then. I'd have pushed through, or I'd have been like, I want you to stay with me, or you know what I mean? I mean, and I know that you and I have had similar experiences and been in similar patterns. I'm sure you'd have been.
I would have crawled in the hole with you,
right?
Like I would have had. I mean, past like previously, I literally would have like wedged my way into sympathy pains in the whole nine, and it would have been a like
messy blob on the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wouldn't have actually helped anybody. And the interesting thing is that like Serena was still doing stuff while I was lying on the bathroom floor. I didn't need her being like, oh, you were that kind of, what kind of show stuff? I'd have been like, I was like, no, I just need to deal with what I'm dealing with right now. I have water, I have this, I have something to cover myself with.
I have what I need right now, and actually I need you to do what you need right now, so that we collectively, as a unit, as a business, and as key bests, can do what we want to do, which is ultimately support these people.
Well, and it was always in the hope too. Okay, well maybe in the 11th hour she'll be like, actually I'm good to go, and I'm like, great, we have all this stuff. Every 10 minutes or so, I check in. No, you okay? You're still on the floor? All right.
Yeah.
Doing good? All right. Like, she didn't need me wallowing with her. She felt crappy enough. You don't need me to tell you feel like crap on top of it. Like,
absolutely.
You don't want me touching you and like...
Well, and well, yes and no. And there are times like somebody else very close to me, if they'd been here, I probably would have wanted a hug, and just like they may have got to the bed so I could have had a cuddle, because when you get cuddled, you release oxytocin. Oxytocin is a natural painkiller that actually physically could have helped me at that point in time. But that wasn't what I needed from Serena at that moment in time. I needed her to show up for us,
and
to show up for these people.
And I have cuddled her before, so it's not something that's beyond like, oh, that's not what she
outside
had.
of our relationship. Yeah. It's just that's not what I needed in that moment, and so it's like.
And that was okay.
And this is the thing, that different people, different moments, different situations, different needs.
And we're gonna do another podcast on that one.
Yes.
How to support and
right when somebody else is going through it, because so often we feel helpless, and we want to be able to support without dropping into that rescuer place of, oh, I'm going to meet your needs for you because you can't meet them yourselves. Mm-hmm. There's a fine line and a fine balance to kind of to tread with that, yes. To make sure that we're honoring all the things. Anything else you want to add today before we finish up?
No, I think I'm, as usual.
I'm surprised that I didn't get a spray of glitter flung my way.
I was like, how can I tie glitter into
Well,
this?
It's funny actually, because literally up until last night, there was a bubble wand right next to where you were sitting. Like, if I'd left it there, we would have had bubbles at this point. And we'll have bubbles on another podcast, don't worry.
And glitter.
And there would have the hearts pouch was there as well. There'd have been hearts everywhere. It would have been a whole thing.
There's going to be a spectacle one day.
There will be.
Stay tuned. It will be a surprise too. Might just be a surprise for Claire.
I was going to say,
a handful.
I can see me. I'm like.
It's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen. It has to happen.
It's going to happen.
No, it has to.
I'm loving it. It's going to be fun. And on that note, watch this space. I just want to say, the real thing we want you to take from today is to stay connected to what you need moment by moment, and listen to your needs, and honor what your body is telling you it needs, and honor what you know you need, and honor what you feel you need, and honor what needs you want to be meeting most in this moment. And sometimes we need to give ourselves what we need, even if it's not what we want. And sometimes we need to honor what we want, because that's what's in alignment with what we need. So it's about checking in and listening. So that's it for today. We'll be back again with another podcast very soon. Oh. Have you got something to add?
I do have something to add. I
thought you were getting ready to wave. It's a little early, but okay.
Wow, she's ahead of the game today. No, I also just want to make a quick mention, regardless of whether it's Pride, regardless of whether or not we're wearing our free mom hug shirts. If you see us and you need a mom hug,
or you want a mom hug.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask.
Yes. And we have multiple kinds of hugs. If you're not into touching hugs, we can do hand hugs and do hand hug.
We do a hand hug.
You hand hug it. You can do a marshmallow hug.
We do a marshmallow hug where we got a marshmallow between us. We don't have to do that during COVID. Or a marshmallow high five. There's all kinds of ways of doing this. And the other thing is that we are very good with our boundaries. So if you ask and we don't have the capacity in that moment, we'll find a way of articulating that's not, could you give me, I'm just in the middle of something, maybe I'm in the middle of a difficult conversation with somebody, so let me finish this and then I'll come back to you. Or actually, my back's really killing me today, so let's get together soon and I'll give you a mum hug. We'll find a way of doing it, because we want to be able to support in that way, and we also don't want to compromise ourselves in that process, because we need to make sure that we're not self-first. Taking care of our needs is a priority, at the minimum in ways that do not harm others, and never in ways that harm ourselves, and sometimes in ways that benefit others. So that's never be afraid to ask us those things, because we'll always find a way of doing it that works as best as possible for everyone in the situation. So yeah, thank you for adding that.
You're welcome.
Like, I love giving mum hugs. Like, it's one of the things I realized. I'm like, oh, I don't have kids. I've got even more mum hugs to give. I haven't given many out yet.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this episode. I look forward to speaking to you again really soon. Remember to take care of yourself, stay safe, and between now and next time, to remember to keep meeting your needs. Lots of love.
Bye, everyone.
That's it for today.
If you like what you heard
and would like to see some of Serena's awesome facial expressions,
check out the video podcast on YouTube.
And remember, sometimes you need to let go of what you want in order to give yourself what you need. And by giving yourself what you need, you might just get what you want.
Well, shit. It really is that simple.